Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, welcome back to Two Up and Two Down. We're going all the way back to season 1, and this time it's The Robbery. So, Tony, let's start it off with you. What's your first up?
Yeah, I'm just really happy I'm going first because I got to get this one in there. An all-time scene. If you want to talk about foundation of the show, this is season 1. This is the foundation of the show. It's George and Jerry, perpetual adolescence, just two guys, two kids, just, how are we going to solve this? Let's flip a coin. Then the coin hits the table. Interference. George says, then it gives Jerry the guilt trip. Then they switch to the odds, evens, and Jerry does his thing with the arm. You got odds, you got evens, They do their shootout real quick. And then George with the slam of the door to top it off. Why did I put out 2? Incredible scene. Sums up the entire, essence of the show in one scene. They go back to these kind of shootouts and Inca-dinkas and things like that later on. But it's just two guys, two friends just doing their thing, still being kids, doing their chews. This Jerry with the, you got odds? I love that scene. I can watch that scene 100 times over. Sets the tone. That's my up.
All right, I like that one. All right, so over to Chris. What do you have for your first up?
That's a great one, and give credit to Matt Goldman, friend of the show, one of the pioneers of this show. Let's not forget that. So he kind of set the tone of why we love this show. One up. I always enjoyed when Jerry comes back from his trip from Minneapolis, where I think Goldman's is now. But anyway, and he sits down and grabs a remote. He's pressing it. He's looking around. What the? It was a little sitcom at the time, but very funny. And then obviously when Kramer comes in, just that whole scene and him obviously yelling, "The door must be closed," like that classic Jerry screech. And at the end of the day, though, what I love is Jerry's forgiveness. Like, it's okay. Like, that's what friends do, man. You make mistakes, but you have fun with it. And that was it, man. Look at me. I'm getting emotional here with The Robbery. But Jerry, remote, Kramer, door closing, just the whole, finding out what happened when he got back was really good stuff. So that's my first thumbs up.
All right, very good. Yeah, the Klepto D29 only has one flaw. The door must be closed. All right, so Tony, let's go back to you for your second up here.
Yeah, seemed like it was a lot thrown in there, but I get where you're going with that. That scene is great, Jerry. Yes, and it's the epitome of Jerry. Very forgiving always of Kramer. The car gets stolen as well. All of that. I love it. My other up is gonna have to be, because I don't have that many written down. That was pretty much one of mine right there. The Clapco D29 scene. I'm actually going to give Elaine an up on this one. For season 1, if a lot of season 1 stuff, even season 2, she's not as prominent. I feel like she gives a lot in this one. I'm walking in the closet, Jerry, just pushing Jerry to kind of, get the apartment, and just, she's there, she's doing her thing. She have to tape measure out when they do their odds and evens. I mean, is it, the best Elaine? No, but it's enough to give me an up here. I think, this episode, it's season 1, so it's not like it's going to be too high. But I think Elaine gives enough of a performance here, especially for season 1, where she's just now sort of getting to be herself a little bit. A little purple sweatshirt she wears. That's my up.
Chris, what's your second up here?
Yeah, I mean, talking about, we got a double dip here because I think there's just a lot of intertwining. Look, I have Elaine in her perky purple shirt. Love that shirt. I mean, I could just give that an up. It's just, you know what I mean? We'll put the image up on YouTube. Don't worry. But yeah, the whole Jerry and her, the dynamic, Jerry being a master packer and her just kind of creeping along and asking about the hot water. you're right. It sets the stage. I'm going to steal it, just a couple different things, but her talking about like, oh, you mentioned the closet, like the fireplace, and then Jerry responds with like, what do you tip a wood guy? Like the whole tipping thing, obviously relevant years down the road, obviously with the George getting caught with his hand in the tip jar, but that whole thing at the apartment with, oh, I got a gardener. I got to tip the gardener. Yeah, I got to tip but and Elaine just kind of so cutesy and like kind of just poking at Jerry, right? I mean, get the apartment. It's double the rent. Like, double is like, let's say he's paying, I don't know, thousands, that's a lot of money. And Elaine's just like, whatever, So that whole thing I love. So yeah, I'm double dipping with you there. I loved Elaine in this because again, she elevated the show and you can't beat that.
All right. Yeah. Some good ups there. So season 1, I'm interested to hear what you have for the downs. So Tony, we're starting with you, your first one.
Yeah. So I touched on the coin toss scene and why did I put out 2? Great George. But my down is really going to be Costanza because he's not quite Costanza yet, as we learned. He's still teetering on his Woody Allen impression. I don't even know what we're doing here, he says. He's still in his real estate stage, which obviously we don't. It's not the best George. Although we'll get to some episodes when we do like it. But just the opening scene aside, I think there's not a lot of George here. He's not really himself yet. He's still doing his little he's not the lovable loser that he becomes. He's more of, he's got a solid job. He's a real estate guy. He's talking to Jerry. I don't love Costanza. His clothes aren't quite there yet. He's that weird jacket on, talking about clothes here. I don't know. He's still doing Woody Allen. He's still tinkering on between Woody Allen and becoming Costanza, which he does very soon after this. So I hate to do it, but that's my down is George.
Yeah, you mentioned the jacket that he wears. I hate that scrunched up sleeve look that happened in the 80s and 90s. So, but all that aside, let's go to you, Chris. What do you got for your first down here?
Yeah, you're nuts with the clothes. But then again, I was mentioning Elaine's purple shirt, so what the hell do I know? So my first down is the ending. I mean, all 3 of them at the housewarming party. But I'm talking about it was as if I was watching an episode of Mr. Belvedere, right? The 2 guys are talking and they say, whatever, I got to move. And they all 3 turn around and say, what's the rent? And it just pauses. And that's the end of the show. Not Seinfeld. Like, just not your typical sitcom as we know. And it shouldn't have ended in that way. So little different again, getting their sea legs season 1. I think the writing was tremendous, but I think they force fed a couple things here trying to figure it out. But my first down is definitely the housewarming party. Very cliche, very sitcom-y.
Oh, I get that being cliche. That's very good. So Tony seems to agree also. So
yeah,
Tony,
I have the exact thing written down. Ending. What's the rent? Very sitcom-y. That's incredible. We know each other all too well here. I won't double dip, but it's not grades yet, right? It's second down.
Second down. Yep.
Second down. I'm sticking to my guns here. Kramer's not quite Kramer yet. Kramer's there, but not quite there. He's still in that kind of reclusive and like, I'm going to get the guy, Jerry, the English guy, and doing his little, he's not quite, the assertive Kramer that kind of takes charge like he does in The Statue, for instance, when he actually goes after it. He's just more of just like, oh, I'm going to do it's just he's still, I don't think Michael Richards figured himself out yet. I don't think the writers figured him out yet. I just think Kramer's not quite there. I think he's almost there, just touches of it, but I think it's kind of a weak Kramer episode, and a lot of that has to do with just season 1. I don't think they knew him yet. So that's my down, is just kind of Kramer. Okay, man.
So Chris, we'll go back to you. What do you have for your second down here?
America, take note. Tony has George and Kramer as downs. Okay, crazy. My second down is the reason I fell in love with this show was the Jerry George Monks dynamic, and the scene. It's small, but them at the diner talking about that they can't eat anything anymore. It's just kind of wasted lines. Goldman, we love you, but George is saying, I don't, and I think this touches on Tony. George just doesn't, he's not George yet. Like him discussing he can't eat anymore, look at his egg, coffee, French fries out. Like, I don't know. That's just not George. He would, come on. He stuffed his face with sundaes. The guy would eat anything. So for me, it was just them together in the diner. Usually those are pivotal scenes. George talking about him not being able to eat sandwiches and talking about eggs and coffee are out. Always a miss for me. That's my second down.
All right. I can see that. So let's wrap up the season 1 episode of Robbery with grades now. Tony, what's your final grade here?
Yeah, Chris mentioned this, I think 3 times. I wrote it down pretty much 3 or 4 times. This episode is very sitcom-y. It's still early. It's season 1. It's very sitcom-y. The ending, which you touched on, I wrote that down. That was very sitcom-y. A lot, even that discussion around that you just mentioned, the characters aren't there yet. We all know that. But there is enough there, I think, that especially watching it live, that was still different about every other sitcom there was, that sort of gets you interested. You're kind of still looking into this like, hey, what's going on with this Seinfeld show, right? It caught all our attention back then live for a reason. I think just the coin toss scene alone was enough for me at the time as a kid watching it live, being like, this is fucking hilarious. Why did I put out 2? I could have been doing that on the playground 10 minutes before I watched the episode when I was 12, whatever I was, 12, 13 years old. So yeah, there's enough there. But it is season 1. We got to be fair. We love Goldman. I'm giving it a C-. I think that's where I'm at with the Robbery. It's a little below average. I'm trying to be fair. I don't want to, sit here and say it's going to be, season 1 was amazing, right? No, it's a C-. And I think there's enough there to warrant that grade. I don't want to go much lower than that. I think I got to be in the C range. So that's my grade for the Robbery, C-.
Now, I think you're right there with that grade. So, Chris, what do you have for your final grade here?
I think you're a little low. I have 2 grades here, and just what you said made me, man, the coin flip, there's certain scenes in television that, listen, when it's the main guy who can elevate it, right? Even in Seinfeld, we haven't got to these yet, but whether it's the Penske file or the note, like, he brought those episodes to special episodes. Not saying it's a special episode, but really elevated it. Now, the way I'm talking, you probably think I'd give it an A. Not the case. There's still some, like you said, very sitcom-y. Man, I'm between 2 grades. But I feel like that interfering. You know what? I'm going to go with my gut. I do love Jerry here. Not enough Kramer, to your point. C+. C+ for the Robbery, but I was this close. It's a high C+, so very close to being a B- because of all the things you just mentioned. So I'm with you.
Well, what about What's the Rent? You were so down on all these sitcom-y things.
Yeah, but again, it's sitcom-y, but it's not.
I know. It was different enough. I got you.
Yeah, it's not gimmicky.
Coin toss scene's an all-timer. I agree. That's an all-timer. Yeah.
All right, Tony, you had C-. Chris, you had C+. So I was right there. I gave it a C myself. So I do like Jerry in this one. I like his line where he goes, 2 bedrooms. What do I need 2 bedrooms for? I have enough trouble maintaining activity in 1. So, like I said, yeah, good Jerry in this one. I think C is a solid grade in my opinion. So, that wraps up season 1, The Robbery, and we'll see you guys at the next episode.